Welcome to Outlaw Theology with the Whiskey Preacher. I'm your host, Phil Shepard, better known as the Whiskey Preacher. It would not be an episode of Outlaw Theology without me, Phil, also known as the Whiskey Preacher, like I just said, without trying to stir up some controversy. How many of you have been watching the miniseries The Bible on the History Channel? It's okay. You can raise your hand in your own home. Nobody's going to look at you weird. You're already watching my show. That makes you a little bit of weird. And how many of you have been watching the show The Vikings, which is also on the History Channel? It's okay. You can raise your hand one more time. How many of you think that the Bible miniseries really sucks? It's okay. Raise your hand one more time. How many of you think that the Viking series really kicks some ass? Say it loud and say it proud. It's this guy. I do. Even though I will say that I think the Bible has some really cool stuff in it, especially the ninja angel who whoops some ass in Sodom and Gomorrah, or the guy who looks like Mickey Rourke post the wrestler and post steroids to play Moses, or the large African American guy, and let me say his name, let me read it real quick so I can pronounce his name right, Naso Anozi. I may have botched that, but I thought he did a great job playing Samson, even though that episode took a lot of critique on how they augmented Samson's story. I think the History Channel has done the best of what it can with what it had to work with. But I think they've done a phenomenal job with the Vikings, and maybe that's because here in Western civilization, you know, America and the UK and Canada, that the story of the Bible is so close to so many people's hearts that it is hard to please folks because everybody has their own version of what they think is truth. And yet, the story of the Vikings, as brutal as it is, has a lot more leniency to be able to tell the story how they want. I think the story of the Vikings, at least the way the History Channel portrays it, makes it seem a lot more realistic than the Bible. I'll go as far as to say that I think the show The Vikings actually talks more about the gospel of Jesus than the Bible miniseries. The Vikings, at least the way it's being portrayed in this TV series, that it is fascinating how they are interacting with Christianity. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you know, when it starts really when the Vikings decide to start raiding northern England and they first come in contact with Jesus. I should say, they first come in contact with Jesus' followers, especially his priests. With that said, I'm curious to hear what you have to say. I'm curious what you have to say about the Bible miniseries. Do you think it sucks? Do you like it? And what do you think about the Viking series? Do you like it? Are you like me who thinks it's a better story than the Bible? Are you like me and think it portrays the gospel more than the miniseries the Bible portrays the gospel? Please feel free to leave your comments below. Thank you again for joining us here on Outlaw Theology with the Whiskey Preacher. You can have this conversation on Twitter. Use the hashtag Whiskey Preacher. You can also go to my Facebook fan page, which is Facebook.com/Whiskey Preacher. Don't forget to like the page and have the conversation there. I can't wait to hear what your thoughts are, especially on the Vikings TV series. Hands down, I think it's a better story than the Bible.